a reed whistle between his teeth to produce chirping sounds. Skillfully moving a number of strings with his fingers to animate the wooden puppets. This is a folk puppeteer. Folk puppetry is an ancient and traditional art form. At the core of this skillful art lies the tradition of storytelling by animating the wooden puppets, which are often called string puppets.
घंटे में कराची लाहौर की कराची इतनी देर में और कैसे साहब औरों को टोरा दिखाती है और कैसे साहब और खुश होती है अरे पुतला अरे माइया अरे डाकिया अरे पुतला
Gypsies or wanderers that are called pakhiwas in local language are sole hire of this traditional art. These gypsy families roam around from place to place, village to village, making wooden dolls to dance on folk tunes. They have been holding and passing this tradition from one generation to another for many centuries in this region of the world. Folk puppeteers, on the other hand, have interesting legends to tell about the origin of folk puppetry in this part of the world.
अकबर बादशाह था दिल्ली का, तो वो रात को सोए पड़े थे। उन्होंने को रात को आया ख्वाब, कोई ऐसा काम आए, ऐसी चीज़ हो, हर मुल्क का नाम आए, हर शहर का नाम आए, हर आदमी का नाम आए। तो जो जो उधर के वजीर थे, नखलू शहर का नवाब थे, जहाँ जहाँ के लोग थे, उन्हों को नाम रख दिया। वो आया वजीर के पास, वजीर को बोला कि वजीर ऐसा काम लाओ, ये जो इतनी कहानी है और ये आदमी है, हर शहर का आदमी एक एक पुतलियों का नक्शा बनाओ। ये पाटे का चौकीदार जो बादशाह की कचहरी में चौकीदारी करता है, ये दादा बीरबल वजीर आ गया, ये नखलो शहर का नवाब आ गया, ये रानी खां का साला आ गया, ये सरावता वजीर आ गया। ये जो सारे शहरों के आदमी इकट्ठे कर दिए, उन्होंने नाम रख दिया वो पुतलियों का, उन्होंने नाम रख दिया पुतली तमाशा।
Stories of folk puppet plays are almost the same, with a little variation here and there. The legend is that Akbar, the great Mughal king, once had a dream, and in his dream he saw his own court. He told this to his vizier and asked him to recreate his court like the one he saw in his dream, so that he could sit and watch. The Wazir, Salawat Khan, recreated Akbar's court in the form of a puppet play, the Kachehri, or the court. The Chaukidar, the watchman for the royal gate, was Pate Khan. Now, Pateh Khan is a character who is supposed to execute the orders of the king and keep the decorum of the court. Pateh Khan, who was a mere chowkidar taking orders from the wazir in a puppet play, pretended to be the king and the one giving the orders. And in his pretense, he became the man ruling the court. Since then, anyone who behaves larger than life and goes beyond his duties is known as Pateh Khan. According to some puppeteers, it was the same wazir who created the first puppet play for Akbar and built the Wazir Khan Masjid in Lahore. As a matter of fact, folklore and fiction merged with time, and old stories started coexisting with new ones. The puppet play starts with Akbar Badshah, the great Mughal king, who himself enters as a character. He is followed by Aql Ka Wazir, the Wazir of knowledge, none other than Birbal. The proceedings of the court begin with a display of gatka, the traditional sword fight but with bamboo sticks used for swords. And the famous gatka player is Falute Khan, a great character. Now, this particular sequence requires a lot of art and a lot of craft, with these two puppets indulging remarkably well in gatka. They are followed by the great magician Mohan Lal. Mohan Lal comes and plays a lot of games, and he also does a bit of jugglery. And he is followed by Maulana Sahab. Now, Maulana Sahab is very pious. He starts having a hal in a very interesting way. There is a particular folk tune at which he goes into this great ecstasy, and then he faints, and the puppeteers keep trying to revive him. But Maulana Sahab refuses to be revived till he is fed halwa. Then comes this very interesting character, Gauhar Jan, the great dancer from Calcutta. Now, Gauhar Jan comes and thrills the whole court. She has great charm and grace and enchants everyone, including the king. After the wonderful dance by Gauhar Jan, the Wazir wants to wind up the show, but Akbar, the great Mughal king, is not satisfied. He wants the court to be full of ceaseless activity. He orders the Wazir that the show must go on. Now, the clever Wazir knows his king very well and has already kept some acts up his sleeve. So in comes the dhobi, washing clothes in the river. But the puppet king is not satisfied with the dhobi's work and commands him to clean clothes better. So the dhobi starts going deeper into the river to get to cleaner water, and that's where a big crocodile comes and eats the dhobi. Upon which who should arrive singing but the dhobi's wife with his lunch. She does not find her husband there. Pate Khan tells her husband has been eaten by the crocodile. Oh, the wife weeps and cries. And Pate Khan then proposes marriage to her. And after a little reluctance, she agrees to marry Pate Khan. So Pate Khan carries her home in his arms. A whole procession of events follows with amazing characters that keep moving in and out of the plot. Over time, some of the characters like Khiddu Marasi, the court gesture, were created and added later. Then there is Lucknow ke Nawab. And there was also Hyderabad ke Mir Sahab. And we have Heer and Raja and Sassi and Punnu. All these famous folk heroes and heroines appear in this one play. And then comes Rani Khan Ka Sala, depicted as Akbar's brother-in-law. Rani Khan Ka Sala is Akbar Khan, with all his pomp and grandeur, and he shows off as if he's somebody totally untouchable. Then there are animal characters. I mean, you have a camel dance, you have the elephant, and you have other bit characters. And as the legend goes, that's almost the end of the show. Wazir wants to end it, but the king wants more and more and more. And the show has to go on like an unending kaleidoscope. The Wazir then introduces Dula Bhatti, the king's arch enemy, the revolutionary whom the king is trying to destroy, the one man who has challenged the authority of the great Mughal king Akbar. So Dula Bhatti arrives with a lot of power, and being a revolutionary, he starts killing and destroying Akbar's courtiers and the court. Now, of course, this is something Akbar cannot tolerate. And so arrives the moment when he finally wants the play to stop. He does not want to see Dula Bhatti wreaking havoc in his court, even in a play. And that is how the folk puppet play ends. Let us now go into the lives of those puppeteers who, with their families, have through centuries played out this story and lived with these characters.
A public performance by folk puppeteer is locally called Putli Tamasha. Earlier, they used to roam in streets of villages and cities hawking for children to watch Putli Tamasha.
There were more than 350 families practicing folk puppet tradition, and over the years it kept falling, the number kept falling, and there was due to, of course, reason, the generation at that time that was performing started disappearing, and the master puppeteers were not received very well in terms of transmission within their own society, within their own families. And in this, what happens is that the heritage starts disappearing or dying out.
In past, these puppet shows were essential part of celebrations such as Urs, Melas, and marriage ceremonies. These days, puppet shows can only be found in art-related festivals. The exquisite craft of making the wooden puppets and the art of maneuvering them are now facing the danger of extinction. In present age, while TV, radio, film and other mediums of mass entertainment remain in the limelight, comparatively simpler and older art of folk puppetry has been subjected to the dark of ignorance.
I think the bureaucrat was brought in, and like the arts councils, the National Council of the Arts, the Alhambra Arts Council. These councils had bureaucrats who functioned them, and they completely raped the creative mind.
However, in this environment of desperation, audacious efforts by some non-governmental organizations to revive the art of folk puppetry have produced a ray of hope. In this regard, Puppeteer Theatre Workshop stands distinguished for its relentless effort to revitalize the dying art of folk puppetry. The art of folk puppetry is a reflection of our cultural roots, religion, history, ethics, and entertainment.
अकबर बादशाह था, उसे फिर उसके बाद हुआ था बादशाह नौरंगशाह, फिर शाहजहां के बारे में जो ये गौरी मोमूद और कई बादशाह हो गए थे, लेकिन हम लोग ये बीरबल तो सिर्फ एक ही हुआ था, जो बीरबल वजीर कहते हैं, वो एक ही हुआ था। लेकिन ये कठपुतली जो सदियों से हमारे लोगों ने अभी तक इनको खींच रखते हैं और चला रखते हैं और चलाते हैं, और हमारे मरते दम तक हम ये चाहूँगा कि बच्चों को भी हम सिखा के जाएंगे, तो कि ये कला हमारी आगे बढ़ती रहे। ये डागा कठपुतली है, जैसे आप उनकी देख रहे हो नोरो वाले की, तो वो कंट्रोल पपेट है, वो एक सड़ी से चलती है और अपनी चलती है कठपुतली, वो उंगलियों पे, सिर्फ धागा है इसमें, बाकी कोई जादू वादू नहीं है, सिर्फ उंगली का कमाल है बस, बाकी कोई कमाल नहीं है। क्यों जब तक ये जो कठपुतली में सीटी और घुंघरू नहीं बजेगा तो वो कठपुतली कहला ही नहीं जाती। डायलॉग तो हम चाहे जितना बोल देंगे, लेकिन उनकी जो मुख्य चीज़ है ये तो पुत्ता बेजान है, इसमें जान हमारी डालनी पड़ती है, इसलिए इनके साथ साथ हमें नाचना पड़ता है।
But this art is now getting obsolete and archaic.
It had become just not worthwhile. They could not make money and they could not freely go and perform as they did at one time in Pakistan. Till 60s, I remember as a child watching puppet plays and puppeteers going house to house. But after that, things changed here.
ਪੁੱਤਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਸ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਦੌਰ ਹੀ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ, ਪੁੱਤਰ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਬੜੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ। ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਾਰੋਬਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ, ਕੋਈ ਅੰਡੇ ਵੇਚਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕੋਈ ਰੇੜੀਆਂ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕੋਈ ਕਾਰੋਬਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਆਪਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਠੇਲਾ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਪੁੱਤਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਮ ਸੇ ਕਮ 3 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਖਾ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਬਣਨ 'ਚ, ਤੇ ਮਹੀਨਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਿਲਾਈ ਤੇ, ਕੱਪੜੇ ਵਗੈਰਾ।
Continuous efforts from cultural preservation organizations and governmental patronage are required to keep those wooden dolls dancing with all their charisma and allure.
साहब औरों को करो सलाम, बच्चों को करो सलाम, और महफिल को करो सलाम, पीछे तक को करो सलाम। तब खा लिए।